On this Sunday night, a polar vortex brings parts of Canada to a bone-chilling standstill. A massive snowstorm cancels flights and plans.
You're getting blown around here.
Yes.
How the nation's biggest city is coping with the blizzard. The Prime Minister on Donald Trump's tariff threats. What the Liberals and Conservatives are focused on with Parliament resuming Monday. Conflicting accounts of the second deadly shooting by U.S. federal officials in Minneapolis.
Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
Now, how this latest death could lead to a full government shutdown. And ready to leave. New polling and what's fueling Albertans' desire for independence.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A polar vortex that's brought bitterly cold temperatures to much of Canada is now slamming the country's biggest city, with a blizzard being called historic. Toronto is under an orange alert as severe snowfall causes treacherous conditions for the city and the surrounding region, prompting all Toronto schools to be closed on Monday. Today, more than half the flights at Pearson International were cancelled, with a chain reaction across the country. That's on top of the more than 10,000 flights cancelled in the U.S. as the storm causes chaos there as well. We begin our coverage tonight with Sean O'Shea in Toronto. Sean.
Colleen, forecasters called this storm and they got it right. Extreme cold temperatures, gusty winds, and significant snowfall, likely the most we've seen all winter. More than enough snow to cause problems in Canada's biggest city. A Sunday snowfall blanketing the city with white. What do you think of the weather?
Oh, I think it's really cold. Yeah, really cold, and this part is windy.
A storm people were told was coming. You're getting blown around here.
Yes.
But you're out. You're enjoying it?
Yeah, enjoying it a little bit, but it's definitely affecting our lives.
Those who needed to get somewhere faced delays, whether on public transit or in vehicles. Road conditions included whiteouts. Police urged drivers to stay off highways if possible, but the OPP shared they've already received 100 calls for collisions and another 100 calls for cars getting stuck in these snowy conditions over the past 24 hours across the GTHA. The snow forced all kinds of cancellations, but not the scheduled NHL game between the Toronto Maple Leafs and Colorado Avalanche. Not showing up was not an option for this man.
We're here in Toronto, in Canada. This is expected weather.
I came down by train. Let somebody else take care of the driving for me.
On Friday, the city said it was prepared for the storm with snow clearing equipment and staff ready to go once the snow started. The mayor said staff would also be looking out for those without a place to live.
Street outreach teams are doing wellness checks and providing blankets, warm clothing, and hot drinks.
For some, the snowfall was something they wanted to experience.
You know, the view is really beautiful.
These friends from Mexico wanted to capture the storm on their cameras.
This is my first blizzard here in Toronto, so I wanted to experience this and take good photos.
You like this weather?
Of course, nothing wrong with it.
You're dressed for it?
Yeah.
A few went out dressed in shorts, and still others treated this Sunday like any other. Why are you running on a day like today?
Sorry.
No time to talk. For those venturing out, it was no big deal. Why'd you come out today?
Why not? I mean, it's just a day.
Environment Canada upgraded this to an orange winter storm warning, cautioning of major disruptions as a result that will last into the work week. Colleen.
Sean O'Shea in Toronto. Thanks, Sean. Global News meteorologist Anthony Farnell joins us from Toronto with what to expect next from this blizzard. Anthony.
Good evening, Colleen. The snow has been relentless today. It started by mid-morning and it has been accumulating at a rate of 3 to 5 centimeters every hour. It is light, it is fluffy, it blows around a lot, but it's causing all sorts of problems on the roadways. This will be a historic storm for the city of Toronto. Likely amounts by the time it wraps up later tonight in the 40 to 50 centimeter range, and then the cleanup begins. The snow is going to taper off here, but this system is massive. It caused ice storm conditions across the southern U.S., a major winter storm for the big cities like Washington, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. Montreal also getting snow today. And then for Monday, it shifts to the Maritimes. 30 to 50 centimeters expected in Halifax. Newfoundland also getting snowy conditions lasting into Tuesday. But for Toronto, This is incredible. I've been here 20 years and I have not seen a storm like this, with just snowfall rates that have been relentless throughout the day on this Sunday. Colleen?
Thanks for that, Anthony. And the cold weather has been taking a toll on hydro generation in Newfoundland and Labrador, prompting calls for power conservation. A buildup of ice led to the shutdown of the Baie d'Espoir generating plant for the first time in nearly 60 years. Authorities have been asking Newfoundlanders to turn off any non-essential appliances and lights as dive teams cleared the ice.
The divers who are bravely in that water with the minus 25-degree wind chill up in the air were able to peel off sections of ice the size of mattresses.
They've cleared enough ice to restart generation, but with more ice building up around the intakes, officials are continuing to ask people to conserve energy. The winter weather is also causing problems in Quebec. This morning, around 20,000 customers were without power, most of them in the Montreal area. Hydro-Quebec says it's working to restore electricity, but warns outages may last until tomorrow for some customers. Warming centers have been opened in several communities to help affected residents. South of the border, as many as 1 million people across the U.S. are also struggling with power outages caused by the storm. Some in the U.S. Capitol are making the most of the conditions, but it's hardly a good time for those in many other states. Around 213 million Americans, about 2/3 of the country, are now under weather warnings for snowfall, freezing rain, or dangerously low temperatures. Conditions have been especially brutal in the Northeast, with some areas seeing up to 45 centimeters of snow.
This is certainly the coldest weather we've seen, the coldest winter storm we've seen in years. And truly, New York State is locked into a grip here. An Arctic siege has taken over our state.
U.S. President Trump has already approved emergency declarations and resources for more than a dozen states, with more expected to come. MPs and party leaders are gearing up for the return of Parliament tomorrow. From the American president's renewed tariff threats to questions about whether the Liberals and Conservatives will work together on key issues. As Jillian Piper reports, there's a lot at stake over the coming months.
Have you spoken to Donald Trump since he made these threats?
On the way into his caucus meeting, the Prime Minister would not say if he has spoken to the U.S. President, a day after Donald Trump threatened a new 100% tariff on all Canadian goods if Ottawa pursues a trade deal with China.
100% tariff.
Mark Carney shut down the possibility of free trade with China, which would go against the Canada-United States-Mexico Free Trade Agreement.
We have no intention of doing that with China or any other non-market economy. What we've done with China is to rectify some issues that developed in the last couple of years.
Tensions are high, with post after post from the president blasting Canada's deal to reduce tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles for lower duties on Canadian canola. Canada is systematically destroying itself. The China deal is a disaster for them, will go down as one of the worst deals of any kind in history. The U.S. Treasury Secretary telling ABC News the deal could impact upcoming free trade negotiations with the states.
We can't let Canada become an opening that the Chinese pour their cheap goods into the U.S.
Yet the government says Canada's strategy is following the U.S. playbook.
They're selling AI chips to China, so they found a pathway not on a free comprehensive trade deal, but just on certain arrangements to reduce tariffs. We're following the same path.
The Prime Minister telling reporters that path will not impact free trade renegotiations.
It's proceeding calmly, comprehensively, and we look forward to engaging in negotiations as they come.
In light of the U.S. threats, Liberals say bipartisan cooperation will be crucial when Parliament returns Monday.
I hope that the other parties see the situation we're in and realize this is not a time to play politics.
The Liberals are 2 seats shy of a majority government, meaning they will need bipartisan support in order to pass any legislation, Colleen. But the government did poach 2 floor crossers from the Conservatives just before Parliament broke, showing just how quickly the balance of power could change.
Jillian Piper in Ottawa. Thanks, Jillian. To Minneapolis, where tensions continue to run high after federal agents shot and killed 37-year-old Alex Pretti Saturday morning. A war of words continued today between local and federal officials over exactly what happened and who's to blame. Reggie Cecchini has the latest and a warning. Some of you may find the details in this story disturbing.
There are competing narratives about what happened in downtown Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Well, it is clear immigration agents opened fire, killing 37-year-old Alex Pretti, a nurse at a veterans hospital. It's how the incident unfolded that's inflamed tensions.
I wasn't there wrestling that assaultive subject that was assaulting Border Patrol agents. I wasn't there wrestling him myself, so I'm not going to speculate.
But federal agents have already portrayed Pretti as someone ready to, quote, massacre law enforcement, an account that's inconsistent with publicly available media and what Pretti's family says of their own son.
We had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so. Go ahead and protest, but do not engage, do not do anything stupid, basically.
He wouldn't.
And he said he knows that.
Pretti was carrying a legally concealed weapon that agents have sought to paint as a threat. Prominent gun rights groups, including the NRA, say responsible public voices should be awaiting a full investigation. Minnesota law enforcement says it's been blocked by federal officials from starting a review, and the state is now acting on its distrust of the government.
To have to go get an order from a judge to preserve that evidence is extraordinary.
Some people are going to make mistakes. That's the nature of law enforcement.
The Trump administration, while acknowledging setbacks, is still intent on moving forward and doubling down. Vice President J.D. Vance still blaming Saturday on engineered chaos.
The chaos that we are seeing is caused directly by ICE, Border Control, and this federal administration.
As residents of Minneapolis become recorders of history, capturing moments of a city on edge, they remember a nurse who seemingly lived a life by the words he spoke to the veterans he cared for.
Freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it.
And the situation in Minneapolis comes as the United States is hurtling towards another partial government shutdown. Democrats vow to oppose a funding package that includes money for the Department of Homeland Security, meaning by the end of the week, Colleen, the very officers carrying out the immigration crackdown might be doing it for free.
Reggie Cecchini in Washington. Thanks, Reggie. In the wake of the shootings, the NBA Players Association says players can no longer remain silent. Now more than ever, we must defend the right to freedom of speech and stand in solidarity with the people in Minnesota protesting and risking their lives to demand justice. New polling on separatist sentiments. Coming up, a reality check on the number of Albertans who want to leave and why. Plus, looking for work, how AI is making that job harder. The dingoes found around the body of a Canadian teenager who died in Australia will be culled. 19-year-old Piper James was found dead earlier this week, surrounded by a pack of dingoes on an island beach. A preliminary autopsy revealed James is believed to have drowned and that dingo bite marks on her body were likely not the immediate cause of death. Rangers, noticing aggressive behavior in the animals, deemed them a public safety risk and have ordered they be humanely euthanized. In Surrey, BC, demonstrators gathered this afternoon to protest a surge of extortion-related violence plaguing that city. Just this month, Surrey has reported 34 extortion-related cases, including 8 shootings. The most recent incident targeted a car dealership early Tuesday morning. The attacks have triggered calls for all levels of police and government to step up and end the violence. Recent polling by Ipsos shows more than a quarter of Albertans support the idea of separation. Drew Stemick has more on what's fueling the drive for an independent Alberta and how it stands up under pressure.
It's been a growing sensation from cities to hamlets across Alberta. The idea that Alberta should leave Confederation.
Around 3 in 10 Albertans and 3 in 10 Quebecers said that they would vote for separation if given the chance.
Of the 2,000 Canadians surveyed between January 9th and 14th, a quarter of those were Albertans. And while the initial support seems high, it dropped significantly after learning about what it could cost.
A decrease in the standard of living that's temporary, or having to renegotiate trade agreements with other countries. And we found that that support almost went down by half.
Recent comments by some within the U.S. administration have fueled fears of potential foreign interference. However, the polling shows those in favor of separation are seeking independence, not servitude.
They're really trying to send a message to Ottawa and their provincial governments and others that they want to be taken seriously and heard.
Sentiments that Alberta Premier Danielle Smith echoed on her radio show on Saturday.
When I talk to people who are frustrated with the way we've been treated for the past 10 years, they don't say, therefore I want to be an American state. That is not what I am hearing.
On the hunt to gather the nearly 178,000 signatures by the beginning of May, many signing events have experienced big crowds and long waits in order to sign the petition. But one political expert says choosing separation out of anger doesn't mean you don't need a plan.
If you are going to divorce yourself, you should have some sort of idea of what the governance looks like. What are some of the laws? What are some of the policies? What is the economy of this?
As all this talk surrounding separation is going on, multiple First Nations groups in Alberta have filed with the courts, seeking a ruling that Alberta cannot proceed with any potential separation without their consent. Despite the uncertainty, multiple signing events are scheduled to take place across Alberta in the coming weeks, including on Monday here in Calgary at the Big Four building. Drew Stremick, Global News, Calgary.
Ahead, looking for work? How AI may hamper your chances of getting that job. With so many people looking for work, many businesses are turning to AI to quickly sift through candidates. But while it may save time and money for those looking to hire, job seekers say it's made the recruitment process more difficult. And Gaviola explains.
Hunting for a job is not for the faint of heart.
It's soul-crushing because you start to question yourself and your abilities.
Dozens of hopefuls shared their frustration with Global News. With many employers now using AI to filter online applications, it's never been easier to get lost in a sea of resumes, CVs, and cover letters. And the only thing to do is keep sending them out.
Well over 100. I only got 2 interviews out of them.
The application process has all the markings of AI. A rapid, impersonal response message to say you're not getting an interview.
I've been collecting them in the last 10 months, and many of them are worded exactly the same from different companies.
1/3 of employed Canadian professionals plan to embark on a job search in the first half of this year, according to Robert Half, the world's largest staffing firm. That is up from roughly a quarter who were on the hunt last year.
Maybe a greater acceptance of uncertainty is maybe the new normal, and companies and people just need to get on with things.
With more candidates expected to wade into an already crowded job search pool, experts say companies that want to hire the best need to invest in humans who can quickly identify top candidates.
Ultimately, it will really help them get a better read and a more authentic read on the candidate's skills, their personality, and overall fit.
When Leanne Alnicki's hunt for a job in communications dragged on, she was forced to sell her condo. She shared her frustration with the cold AI gatekeepers in a LinkedIn post and received a flurry of interest. She's hopeful her luck turns around soon.
I'm good at what I do and I'm a passionate person, and I just need somebody to see that.
Anne Gaviola, Global News, Toronto.
The new Canadian app that can detect injury risk. Next. U.S. climber Alex Honnold reaching the top of Taiwan's Taipei 101 skyscraper, one of the world's tallest buildings. Thousands of fans watched in awe as he took just 90 minutes to make his way up the 508-meter building without ropes or safety gear. The climb was postponed by a day because of wet weather.
This is crazy.
Vancouver's own Hudson Williams soaking in the moment as an Olympic torchbearer. He and his heated rivalry co-star Connor Story taking part in the torch relay for the Milan Cortina Winter Games. The two actors made their way through the streets of the Italian town of Feltre near Venice. The torch now continues its journey to the opening ceremony on February 6th. A ligament tear can have serious consequences for athletes or anyone else, but a new phone app aims to prevent that type of injury. It scans your knee as you jump, measuring your injury risk. And as Tim Sargent reports, its inventors believe it could prevent a lot of surgeries.
Developing the leg muscles properly around the knee.
David Lapointe avoids all high-impact sports. In fact, the days of sliding hard into second base or playing hockey at an aggressive level are well behind him.
I can still ski, but my ski days are limited to maybe 2 hours in a day because my knee swells and the pain.
Lapointe tore his ACL in both knees about 30 years ago. He's had several surgeries on his right knee alone.
I was able to get back into sports after that, but again, not at the same intensity that I always used to do when I was younger.
One thing Lapointe couldn't do when he was younger was use a new mobile phone app called Hurt Blocker.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go.
It's new software that uses artificial intelligence to analyze the movements of each leg to identify early signs of a potential ACL injury.
Oh, you got red.
I'm red.
Yeah.
In my case, my right knee was flagged at risk for a tear. Athanasios Babouras of McGill University spent 7 years designing the app. The postdoctorate fellow helped build it to prevent injuries and reduce surgeries.
I feel it's good. We have a very solid machine learning model behind it.
You can see that her knee moves.
Dr. Paul Martineau has performed more than 2,500 surgeries on torn ACLs. He was also deeply involved in bringing the new app to life.
All you have to do is jump in front of it. It will identify your skeleton immediately, and within seconds it tells you whether you move in a way that puts high strain on your ACL.
3, 2, 1, go.
The app won't prevent injuries, but the tool will identify those at risk and tell them to do specific exercises to avoid tearing the ligaments. More than 2,400 student athletes at McGill have already used it.
I think it opens their eyes to this. I think many of them are unaware that this existed.
A new mobile app to help people spend more time playing sports and less time recovering from ACL injuries. Tim Sargent, Global News, Montreal.
And that's Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Colleen Christie. Tonight's Your Canada is this flag made of wood in Cache Creek, BC. Please keep emailing your photos to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Donna will be back with you tomorrow. Have a great night.